All right, Nikola Motors, an alternative fuel electric truck company, is reporting earnings for the first time as a publicly traded firm. After reporting that it lost $86.6 million in the quarter, shares of Nikola are down about 10% today. We do want to bring in our next guest for more on the earnings and what the future holds. For Nikola, we're joined by Trevor Milton, founder and executive chair at Nikola Motors. Trevor, it's good to have you with me this morning. The stock down 10%, a disappointment in these results. How is the company making adjustments amid the coronavirus?
Yeah, I mean, it's our first earnings, right? We have a lot to learn and a lot of things to try to figure out how to deliver the information to both institutional investors and other investors around the world. We actually did pretty well. We actually beat our earnings by about 20%. But the problem was some of the information that was reported was they had the wrong share count, so it actually looked like we missed earnings. And so it was a lot of things that we have to learn as a publicly traded company, just being better at how we report information, get information to the analysts. And it was our first time. So, the next quarter is going to be awesome. We have the next 4 months leading up to Nikola World are going to be the best 4 months in Nikola's history. And look, sometimes you have good days and bad days, and you just recover, and it makes people more, more confident in you after you recover from something like that. Sometimes.
Okay, what do you mean by awesome? Quantify that for us, Trevor.
Yeah, so we have a couple things that we're doing before Nikola World, from now until Nikola World. One is we're going to be announcing a very large order for vehicles. That's a really important thing for us. That's gonna add a lot of fuel to the fire of the excitement around Nikola and the deliverables and our backlog. On top of that, we're going to be announcing a station partnership, how we're rolling out 700 hydrogen stations in America. And on top of that, we have we want people to hold us to essentially our factory in Ulm, Germany is going to be done. Our factory here in the U.S. is going to be kicked off, and the Nikola Badger pickup truck will be unveiled to the whole world in December. So the next 4 months are just jam-packed with great stuff for Nikola.
Okay, so investors who might just be tuning in for the first time and learning about your company, as it is a relatively new public company, how many vehicles are currently on the road, or what are the projections through the end of this year in terms of the electric trucks that you're able to put on the road?
Yeah, so just to be clear, Nikola does two things. We build hydrogen electric trucks, we build battery electric trucks, and then we also build the infrastructure that comes with it. And that's what sets us apart from our competition, like Volvo or Daimler or anyone else. And so when you buy a hydrogen truck from us, all the hydrogen's included. That's a really important aspect because it's all the costs are included into that cost per mile. So when investors want to know a little bit more about like how that business model works, this year we have the first battery electric trucks coming off the assembly line in Ulm, Germany right now. We have 5 of them. And those will be tested all this year and into the first quarter of next year. And then we have big numbers coming out next year that'll be tested with fleets and then full production by the end of next year. So the truck you're showing right now is the Nikola Tre battery electric truck. And what's cool about that truck is we're beating all of our competition to market. We'll be the first zero emission semi truck to market in full production that can go over 300 miles. Pretty cool stuff.
Okay, so 5 test vehicles, you said, in the near future. Do you have orders yet booked for these vehicles? And if so, what are they?
Yeah, we do. We have orders for both the battery electric and for the hydrogen electric. The hydrogen electric we've already publicly announced is over a $10 billion backlog of lease reservations for that hydrogen truck. So it's like a 5-year backlog on production. The battery electric truck, we have not announced the numbers yet. We'll announce them most likely at Nikola World, and they're pretty awesome. I mean, we're going to be sold out for quite a few years on the battery electric truck as well.
Explain what Nikola World is.
Yeah, Nikola World is where it's a 3-day event, December 3rd, 4th, and 5th here in Phoenix, Arizona, where we show all the latest technology about Nikola, all the latest vehicles. Fans and investors from around the world get to come in, interact with our team, the executive team. They get to see the vehicles live. And we're also launching one of the most anticipated vehicles in the world, the Nikola Badger, which is an electric pickup truck. And that gets shown off at Nikola World in December, driving, so people actually get to see it really functioning and working. And no one's seeing it real life yet, except for a few select people inside of Nikola that are working on the project. So that's the first time anyone gets to see that vehicle real life for the public.
And you mentioned breaking ground on that factory in Arizona, coupled with the factory that you have in Germany. Explain how these two factories are going to work in tandem and when we can expect production out of that Arizona plant.
Yeah, so we just broke ground about 2 weeks ago on the Arizona plant. We hired a company called Wallbridge. They're probably the top leading construction company in America. They build most of the major factories, and they're building our factory for us too. You'll see tractors there in about the next 1 or 2 weeks on the property. And within 12 months, we'll have our first phase done. Phase one at that factory means we're building the battery electric trucks for America, and we'll be spitting out, hundreds of those and then thousands of those. And then phase two goes into the more advanced paint booths, also the fuel cell limited run assembly line. And then phase three is the full assembly line for the fuel cell. And that happens about a year and a half after the battery electric truck. So Coolidge is a big deal for us in Arizona because it's handling all production for North America. And in Europe, for our joint venture with Iveco, we have a factory in Ulm, Germany, or Ulm, sorry, for everyone who wants to say it right, in Ulm, Germany. And that factory is building all trucks for Europe for Nikola. And that one's almost done. We're much further ahead in Europe right now than we are in the US. That factory will be done by the end of this year. So just 4 or 5 months, we'll be done with that factory.
Okay, Trevor, quickly let's talk about competition. We did speak to the founder and CEO of Hyliion in June about going public, and he pointed out differences between his company and yours. Take a listen.
The difference is, where does our electricity come from? And so, Nikola is using hydrogen, Tesla is using the grid, Hyliion is using natural gas to recharge our battery pack. And then the other big difference is that we're leveraging the existing OEM's trucks as opposed to trying to reinvent the entire truck from the ground up, which really keeps us focused on just the powertrain of the vehicle.
All right, so Hyliion focused on improving the powertrain of existing semis. You're controlling the entire truck, fuel, and what have you. Why are customers more likely to scrap their existing trucks for a Nikola rather than just convert their existing fleet with Hyliion?
Well, what's interesting is I came from the natural gas world, so I actually most all the patents are using on fueling on that truck when it comes to the back of cab fueling are all the ones that I designed. I mean, so in my team at Nikola, we sold it to Worthington. What's really interesting is that natural gas has emissions. It's one reason why we don't use steam methane reform for our hydrogen. We only use electrolysis, which is clean energy, for our hydrogen. So they're gonna do okay for a little bit. I don't know how long, but the problem is emissions are going to be banned altogether. So it's a dying company. If you're gonna start with emissions and stay with emissions, you're dead. You've got to get away from it completely. And that's what Nikola does, is that we're only zero emission. That's all we do. Completely zero emission from production to consumption. And eventually they're going to have to come over and follow us, because that's where I started 6 years ago. I mean, I was building these natural gas. I looked at doing natural gas electric. That was my first truck I ever did. And I went away from it. So they're kind of, look, I love entrepreneurs and I want them to succeed. But if you're going to come in and compete, you better be on your game, and zero emission is the only way to win, not with emissions.
Quickly, Trevor, are you hiring in Arizona for the factory there? And if so, how many jobs?
We are a minimum of 1,800, I think, is what we've committed to the state and the city. And most likely will be over 3,000 people at that factory. And that factory is in a small town called Coolidge. It's, what I love about that is that you're bringing jobs to a town that actually really needs it. And it's going to support the entire community. And then you have Lucid just right down the road too. You're going to see a massive expansion in the area of Casa Grande and Coolidge, Arizona. So really fun to see the difference you're making in people's lives in the city.
Trevor, how much has the pandemic impacted your order list, back orders, your order log, that is? Have you seen orders change, be frozen, paused, or even rescinded because of the pandemic?
No, actually, as a matter of fact, we've seen them increase, and I think which is really strange. At first, I thought, oh man, I wonder what this is going to do to everything. I had no idea. I don't think anyone knew, right? And the orders actually they've come in bigger and stronger, and we've had to turn a lot of people away. So for our hydrogen truck, we essentially have to pick and choose who we can work with, because we're sold out for so many years. And what's happened is the world has directly correlated emissions with the respiratory problems that came with COVID. And so people want a cleaner city and they want cleaner air so they can be healthier. And that's one reason why, again, I think that it's really important to go zero emission and not with natural gas. You got to get away from natural gas and diesel. They're both polluting, and it's time for the world to just completely go zero emission.
All right, Trevor, we got to leave it there. That's Trevor Milton, founder and executive chair of Nikola Motors. Thank you.